Hello, good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be here with all of you. I flew from San Francisco this week, and it's great to be coming from one tech hub to another amazing tech hub here in Dublin, and feel the energy of this amazing, group, all focused on these exciting topics, in technology. And as a matter of fact, actually, Dublin was the place where Salesforce established the first hub outside San Francisco. So it's great to be here. It's an honor to be here. So I'm going to be talking about customer success, but before I do that, I'm going to talk a little bit about Salesforce and the opportunity that we see in the marketplace, as that sets the right context to talk about the model that we have built, for customer success. So we have so I'll start a little bit with Salesforce. I think many of you know that we have, we started doing Salesforce automation software. That's why the name of the company, started like that. That was a while back, and now we have grown to be a very large company. Last year, we were named to the Fortune 500 group, and we also have now a run rate of $8 billion in multiple products, not only Salesforce automation, but customer service, marketing, and most recently, commerce. So we have really expanded the footprint of the company to a lot of the things that, touch the customer, in different ways. We were also named by Forbes as the Innovator of the Decade, and have really, broken a lot of new ground as well, in terms of being the fastest growing company of the top 10 software companies in the world, and being named Best Place to Work in many parts of the world as well, including here, in Ireland by the Great, Places to Work report. So we're very, very proud, to be representing a large group of employees right here, in the area as well. So a little bit about the company and how the company got started. The company got started 18 years ago with 3 basic pillars that were very important to the company and that still today remain very important to what we do. Number 1 was a new technology model, the cloud, right? The cloud was very basic to Salesforce. I remember when I joined the company 7 years ago that at that time we would spend most of the time trying to convince customers that the cloud was safe, that the cloud was reliable, secure. Today, of course, 7 years later, that's no longer the topic. Everybody wants to go to the cloud. We remain very pure on how we run the cloud. The cloud is very large right now. We process over 4 billion transactions per day. So with data centers, all around the world, and having 180,000 customers, everyone is running on the latest release, and everyone gets access to all the features that are deployed. Within a couple of weeks, all the new customers have all the latest technology for them to be able to access it. So technology model, then a new business model with recurring revenue. So the idea that you just pay as you go, which is being a fundamental principle of our growth, primarily because if we really get that customer and we retain them because they are successful, then every new sale that we make is incremental to that. And that model by itself really have a very, very nice way for a growth scenario. And then the last pillar, which is very important and fundamental to our culture, to the people, to the team that we have, is a philanthropy model, 1-1-1. We call it 1% of all products go to nonprofit, 1% of the profit of the company, and 1% of employees' time. So every employee gets 6 days a year to volunteer to whatever cause they want. So that's a really premise of the company that is still alive today. There's a new pillar that we just introduced last year ago, and I thought it would be relevant for this group. It's a new learning model. Because what we want to do is actually have a real way to share everything that we're doing. We've come up with this learning platform, we call it Trailhead, that is available to everyone, where we not only allow everyone through a platform that has a lot of gamification in it to make it fun, and the like, to not only learn about the technology, but the basic principles as well as other cultural aspects of how to run a company that can, really take advantage of all these great innovations. So that's that is available to everyone. And then, of course, our values, which are very important, the core values of the company, that really are the foundation of who we are, and where we spend a lot of time, as a team, always talking about, number one, trust. We really believe that customers need to trust us very highly in order to give us all their customer data, to make sure that they trust that we're going to allow them to run their operations, and that we are a trustworthy company to work with. Growth is a big, important part, like as I already talked about, but growth is our focus on our customers' growth, because if they grow, we will grow. Innovation, I already talked about, always being able to innovate constantly. We put out about 3 releases, major releases, a year, with hundreds of features available to everybody. So we're very committed to having a constant stream of innovation available to all our customers. And then equality, make sure that we really have a very highly valued, diverse team in which everyone really can give us their full potential. So values are very, very important to what we are. But let's step back now and look at really what's happening in the industry. What are the trends that we in Salesforce clearly have seen as very important to who we are? I think I went one slide too fast. Let me go back a little bit here. So the trends, right? What's happening in the industry and in the marketplace that really are the things that we see as opportunities, and that are the foundation about the kind of capabilities that we're building in our platform and in our products. And clearly, we all remember, maybe not all of you, but certainly from my generation, we remember the mainframe and client server and those technologies that created the amazing technology revolution in the 70s and 80s. But clearly, there are some movements beyond just the cloud that are really important and disruptive to our industry, and that we pay a lot of attention to. And those are the kinds of areas that we think are changing the landscape in the industry, and the companies that are going to really win in the marketplace are the ones that take advantage of these disruptions. And then, of course, those cloud, we already talked about. Social, the ability to really use the ability to collaborate and share in a very profound way. Mobile, of course, being able to run your business from your phone. We already now today run our lives pretty much from our phones. So how can we translate that to make sure that everything is mobile first? It's a big disruption. Internet of Things, everything is connected. Everything is connected. Cars are connected. Devices are connected. Everything is getting more and more connected, over time. 75 billion, many, many more than computers. Well, behind every connected device, there's a person, there's a customer that we need to serve and take advantage of them, and they are going to clearly expect, a better experience out of that. And then, of course, artificial intelligence, which is the newest and the one that I believe will most likely drive the largest transformation in our space. So these are the key disruptions that we see as great opportunities for companies to leverage these disruptions and make their products better, take advantage of that. We are seeing that disrupting our lives, right, at the personal level. We know what's happening with companies like Uber and Amazon. They're already doing that as we are all getting used to that. So our expectations are higher. And then what we see is then a big gap when you actually get to companies. There's a big gap between what all of us expect, from our vendors and our suppliers, and what is already there today. So this gap is not only the fact that there are probably most of the enterprise products that you can buy today may have not necessarily the right user interfaces, they may not have the right intelligence built in, and that is the opportunity for us, to be able to do that. We believe, market research shows that only 1% of the data that is collected today by companies actually gets analyzed. And then also 77% of the customers don't feel that they're engaged, with their companies, right? So if I go to a bank, every time I walk into that office is like a brand new experience. Well, that doesn't have to be that way, right? We can get a lot smarter and make sure that every time we touch a customer, we learn from that experience, we make the next experience better, right? So that is the gap that we see, and that's the opportunity that we at Salesforce have used to come up with our platform. We call our platform the Customer Success Platform, and it's a platform that allows companies to connect with their customers in a whole new way, right? So that platform allows to not only do things, everything that touches the customer, from sales, marketing, support, and the like. So, that of course is the product at Salesforce. So how do we think about customer success at Salesforce? It's kind of what I want to, share some of our thoughts in that area. Well, once the sales is completed, the customer has bought your product, no matter what you bought. At that moment, that's where we at Salesforce think that the customer success management function engages to really help that customer map their journey to be successful, help them to achieve the value, meet the expectations of what they bought from you. That is the customer success journey. And every customer has a different definition of success. So we need to think about, yes, they bought one product that is generic, that everybody buys it, but each of them want to achieve different goals. And we need to develop a certain level of intimacy, with our customers to make sure that we really get to understand what success means for them. And when they succeed, I'm convinced that the success of Salesforce is due to the fact that we're very committed to the success of our customers. If they are successful, we are successful. So how do we really do that? So let me tell you a little bit of history about how we have thought about customer success over the years. Clearly, when I joined the company 7 years ago, we had the classical functions that everybody has in a company: support, implementation services, and the like. And we did have some small group of success managers that were really helping customers with adoption and things like that. But we started to build a model throughout the years about how all these things come together. Probably we started by thinking about the entire life cycle from when the purchase is done until the renewal happens, and then that customer, starts the next cycle, and tie all that together in that integrated way where we eliminated a lot of the barriers between the different functions and start thinking about, we have one customer, we have to work with them. We moved the entire team to really be measured on renewals. That means if the customer is successful, they are going to really continue to buy from us. At that time, probably in those 7 years, we've improved about 10 points in the renewal rates, or the reduced attrition by about 10 points. On an $8 billion company, that's a lot of money, right? So you can think about that the efforts of this function truly help the bottom line, of the company. So building that model and making this team think about not only helping the customer with the basic things of adoption and the like, but thinking about my success is when the customer actually renews that product. So, and then of course we use a lot of data science, in the process of doing that. That's one of the beauties of the cloud. We actually know a lot more about our customers than many times they know, because we can analyze the data and really talk about, how much they're using the product, identify areas they're not using them, and help them, with all that. So we use a tremendous amount of data science. We call it the early warning system, to be able to help us guide the customer, but also is a great predictor, for attrition, so we can intervene what we have to do. Those are areas that we have been investing on very much. And then, of course, we have evolved. Probably the biggest area that we have evolved is what we call advisory services, is creating, very talented individuals and tools and capabilities that allow us to advise our customers down the right journey, for success. And these services are quite, well thought out. I mean, in high demand and in hyper growth right now, because a lot of customers are asking how can I, get to what success means to me. As you can see here, our team right now it's quite large. We have 5,000 people around the world, but more important, we have a very large ecosystem of certified partners that extend our team, to drive customer success. So one of the things that we do is, a lot of customers ask, many customers are used to work with enterprise software vendors in a very normal way. They buy the software, especially if it's not in the cloud, they deploy it. This is a new model. So we have worked hard to kind of talk about how do we communicate to our customers, how we work with them, and how we engage with them. And it's very powerful, by the way, when you can stand in front of a customer and say, hey, what's your job? And they say, my job is to make you successful. That's pretty powerful. And that team, really behaves that way. The culture of it is to do that. So our job is to help our customers achieve business value faster than they would otherwise, by providing them tools and best practices, expertise, and those kinds of things. We have a lot of focus around, expertise and talent. We spend a lot on that. We have a lot of emphasis on data, like I talked about, a lot of investment in that. And probably the most recent area for us, the newest area that we have introduced, is around a lot more capability to help our customers with user-centric design. So design of the user experience, design of how they touch their customers have become a higher, ask from customers to help them with. So we have been building a lot more capabilities in that area. Then at the bottom of this chart, you can see that when we engage with customers, we tell them, we ask two questions, right? One of them is, what's the level of ambition that they have? Many customers may have something very simple they want to do. I want to get all my salespeople on a new tool to do CRM, right? Other ones are thinking about, how can I completely redesign my operating model and how do I market, go to market to my people. So the level of ambition, and then the level of complexity. You're trying to do something, that is very large, maybe something that is pushing the boundaries of what we've done before. And depending on that, we have different levels of engagement, all the way from the very simple, tools, many of them are self-serve, and the like, all the way up to engaging some of our most advanced consultants that can do that. In that, latter part is where we call a transformational area, where companies are really fundamentally transforming the way they are. In that case, companies need a lot more than technology from us, and we have been really expanding to build a lot more capabilities to help them with a lot of the basic things that customers need that go beyond technology, like how can they crystallize a digital vision, how can they drive things like alignment across a lot of executives that may have different points of view, what kind of culture they need to do to be agile and innovative, and all those things. So the company, they bought the technology, but they need to transform themselves before they can truly take advantage and being able to deliver these capabilities to market quickly. So that's how we engage with customers. But we have an issue that we have been working on, is really, how do you touch 180,000 customers, right? That's a big challenge. Clearly, our larger customers get, all that kind of advice and consulting and all that, but how do you actually touch 180,000 customers? And we have been using technology to drive that. Technology for building automated customer journeys with a technology we call Journey Builder that allows to map the journey of the normal journey a customer will follow depending on what they're trying to deploy, and through automation, detecting what things they're using and not using, how effective they are, learning from what they're doing, and then suggesting the next thing. Here's a video for you to watch. Come join us at this webinar. Attend a circle of other customers that are using the same thing. Join a community. We've built a lot of communities, social communities, that customers are at a certain particular stage in their life cycle. I am starting to implement, or I may be adopting something. So build them in, bring them into a community where they can themselves, with one another, help each other. And this is the most promising technology that we have, where we can, through automation, fully automated journeys, guide the customers to a lot of these assets and resources that exist. And once they get to a point that they're stuck, we can automatically detect that they've tried every asset and they're still not getting past this particular stage. And at that moment, then we can do what we call a precision engagement. And then just go into the customer very precisely to talk to them about the problem they have at that particular point in time. So these automated, customer journeys, it's probably one of the newest areas for us where we are actually see the most promise by using data, technology, and a lot of artificial intelligence to predict what is the next step and the like. So a lot of investments for us going into this area. So how do we measure customer success? That's one of the questions that I get asked all the time. Well, we've talked about a few of them. We certainly use this early warning system and this data science algorithms and the like to really measure how we're doing with customers. So we grade every customer using this tool, so we can tell in which phase they are depending on what products they've actually bought. And we measure our people based on that. Of course, at the end of the day, we measure ourselves on revenue retention. That's my metric. The same way that the salespeople get measured on bookings and get paid on bookings, in our customer success team, we get measured on revenue retention, and we get measured on EWS. And people get paid that way. So that's how we measure ourselves. Of course, that's not necessarily how the customer sees success. So we need to keep a really big focus on how their customers, they define success in their own terms and try to make sure through other mechanisms that they're achieving that value as well. But there's a big correlation. One of the areas where we have noticed that there's a big correlation between success is actually engagement. How often are customers coming to us and keep engaged with us? Use one of our resources. Come to download videos. Use the Twitter handle for Ask Salesforce. Any of these different channels, the more that customers are actually connected to that, we see a high correlation between that and success. So we are driving a lot more the metric around engagement with our customers. And then customer health, it's probably something that probably many of you are doing, as well as customer loyalty. Case deflection is one that many companies use for a lot of their support centers, their customer engagement centers, because they use it for efficiency. We actually use it because when we actually deflect a lot of calls, which what we mean by that is that the customer self-serves on an answer versus having to come to us through one of our channels like chat or email. When they self-serve, they're happier. When a customer can find an answer to something, they like it better than having to somehow interact with a human being. But more important is because we actually free up a lot more resources to do a lot more proactive work. So this year, for example, we're achieving over 50% deflection, which is great. So that means that we have 50% of resources that were tied on a lot of reactive work, now focus on proactive engagement, with customers. So the other thing is to think about is like, okay, so how do I structure customer success in companies? Who is the job of customer success, in companies? The way we think about it at Salesforce is customer success is everyone's job. Every function in the company engages, and every function in the company, the whole culture of the company really is about very customer-centric. The people that tend to think about customer success every day is certainly the customer success group that I lead globally. But we engage, we're in constant work with everyone from the product side. So if we detect that there's a lot of incoming volume talking about a particular subject, we're engaged immediately with the product group, and many times they can fix it rather quickly, right? So we're working with all the teams. In the customer success group, we have the functions that you see there on the left. So we have the success management, which is our people, that's what they do. They focus on usage, adoption, and mapping the trajectory for customer success. And then we have, of course, services. The more classical services are part of that, of our team. Education services, support, and then, of course, the renewal function. So that's how we define customer success at Salesforce. So now let me just finish with one example of a customer, because I wanted to put it all together for you. Schneider Electric, I don't know how many of you know that company, but you probably have benefit from what they do. Schneider builds components to manage energy and automation, energy automation for buildings primarily. They probably have covered between 40 and 60% of all the buildings in the major cities around the world. So they're a very, very large company with a very large base of employees. The interesting thing about Schneider is, like many large companies, you have a lot of products, hundreds of products, and you have a lot of teams that have business units that manage a lot of those different products. Well, how do you really keep your customer successful, right? You have a customer, right? So in the past, you had, each of these teams, running their own businesses, getting their products to market, and no ability to really maintain an interactive communication with a customer. Schneider has been able to build a true 360-degree view of the customer, all the way up from nobody who's touching the customer, if it is sales, if it is service, if it is marketing, if it is support, as these buildings, age over time and they need to get replacement, and they maintain a complete history, of how the customers are using their products, where they are at, and that helps them not only support their products, but also helps them market and sell to that customer base, depending on what they have. And not only every employee that touches the different functions have access to what other products are and what other functions are, but also the partner ecosystem. They have an amazing implementation of the entire 400,000 partners around the world that are part of this ecosystem of what taking care of the customer, all the way from installers and all that, to be able to serve the customer in an integrated way. Okay, and they manage 3 million customers to do that. They will tell, if you talk to them right now, that this has changed, what originally started being, let me use some tools to just make my work more efficient, to a strategic tool for them and for their company to really talk about how that really helps them, establish a strong communication with the customers and grow their business. So that's all I have in my remarks for today, so thank you very much for listening. Thank you.